Every great business, every product that changes the world, it all started the exact same way, with just a single, simple idea. Today, we're going to map out that entire journey, from that very first spark all the way to a real world launch.
Come on, you know that feeling, right? That little light bulb that just kind of flickers on, a solution to a problem you keep seeing, or just a better way of doing something that seems so incredibly obvious to you? Well, that spark, that little idea that just won't leave you alone, that's not just a daydream. That's the seed of innovation. It's the very first step on the entrepreneurial path. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to trace that exact path for you, from that flash of inspiration to a structured, actual business. This is your roadmap. So, let's get into it. What exactly is entrepreneurship? Because let me tell you, it's so much more than just having a good idea. At its heart, it's a really active process. It kicks off with spotting an opportunity that maybe other people just don't see. Then it's all about pulling together the resources, the right people, the money, and finally, and this is key, it's about taking a calculated risk to build something brand new. The legendary business mind Peter Drucker just completely nailed this. He said the whole point of a business is to create a customer. Just think about that for a second. You don't just find them, you actually create them by coming up with an innovative solution and then marketing it the right way. That is the entire game. And this brings us to a really important distinction. Think of it this way. The entrepreneur is the architect who designs a totally new, groundbreaking building from nothing. It's high risk, but potentially high reward. The manager, on the other hand, is the amazing building supervisor who keeps that skyscraper running perfectly day in and day out. Their focus is on stability and making things efficient. A great founder eventually has to learn management, for sure, but a manager doesn't always have that initial architect's crazy vision. So we know what it is, but who is the entrepreneur? What's actually going on inside their head that pushes them to take on this wild journey? Well, it all starts with vision, that ability to see a future that doesn't exist yet. But that vision is totally useless without the guts to take smart risks and the absolute grit and determination to keep going when you get knocked down. And believe me, you will get knocked down. It's that blend of dreaming big and doing the hard work that really sets them apart. Now, what actually motivates someone to do this? It usually boils down to two big forces. You've got push factors, things like hating your job or being unemployed. You're basically being pushed away from a bad situation. Then you have pull factors, which is the opposite. You're being pulled toward an amazing opportunity, like a huge gap in the market or new government grants. But is this drive just, random luck or circumstance? A psychologist named David McClelland argued, no way. He came up with this really fascinating theory that pinpoints a specific psychological trait that's super common among the most successful entrepreneurs. McClelland called this a high need for achievement, or NOC for short. Now, people with high NOC, they aren't reckless gamblers, they are calculated risk takers. They go looking for challenging goals, they absolutely crave clear feedback so they know how they're doing, and maybe most importantly, they take total personal responsibility for the outcome, whether they win or lose. And honestly, here's the most incredible part of all of this. McClelland didn't just dream this up, he actually tested it. In a famous experiment in Kakinada, India, he trained local business owners to think like these high achievers. And the result? They created more jobs and invested way more back into their businesses. The proof was right there. This mindset can be learned. Entrepreneurship isn't just some trait you're born with. It's a skill that you can actually build. Okay, so once you have that mindset in place, how do you actually translate that inner drive into a real plan? How do you take that spark of an idea and give it some structure, turning it into a blueprint for a real business? It's a really logical, step-by-step process. You start by identifying an opportunity, some problem out there that needs solving. Then you generate an idea to fix it. But, and this is important, before you go all in, you have to run a feasibility analysis. It's a reality check. Is this even technically possible? Can we make money doing it? Only after your idea survives that stress test do you start putting in the time to write the full business plan. Your business plan, really, it has two super critical jobs. First, for you, it's your roadmap. It keeps you focused. But externally, it's your proof to investors, to banks, to anyone you need to convince. It's the document that says, hey, my vision isn't just a dream, it's a credible, investable business.
All right, plan in hand, you're ready to go from paper to the real world. So let's look at the final toolkit you're going to need to actually launch your venture and get this thing off the ground.
This is basically the startup checklist where the rubber meets the road. And notice the flow here. It starts with your product, then you figure out the legal structure of your company. Once that's locked in, you can go out and arrange your financing and then tackle all the boring but necessary legal paperwork like licenses. Only when those foundations are rock solid are you ready for the final, most exciting step: launch. Each step builds on the last, getting you ready for liftoff.
Now, I know this can look really daunting, right? Like you have to climb this huge mountain all by yourself. But one of the most important things to remember is that you absolutely don't have to.
Pretty much every country has a support ecosystem built to help new businesses get started. For instance, in India, you've got places like District Industry Centers for guidance, the NSIC that can help you get equipment, and SIDBI for financial help. The names will be different wherever you are, but the functions are usually the same: government agencies, development banks, industry groups. The key is just to do your research and see what's out there for you, because you're not alone in this.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that the launch isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun. Real entrepreneurship is a continuous cycle. You're always looking for that next opportunity, constantly innovating, and just relentlessly pushing through all the challenges. It is a marathon, not a sprint.
So we've laid out the entire roadmap for you, from that first little spark to the final launch and everything that comes after. The map is officially in your hands. Now, the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?